Well, I specifically go out seeking sharks, so that's kind of why I see them the most, but sharks are definitely one of the things I see most often because I go to an area where I know that I will see them. And I mean, yeah, if you run into something like this, that would just definitely not be ideal for like the glass on the outside of your submarine. I can't say I wouldn't try it. We're going in like an underwater tunnel. It kind of looks like the caves that we have here, the underwater caves, like lava tubes with all the creatures kind of hanging on the sides of them. Hi, my name is Andriana Fragola, but everyone calls me Andy, and I am a shark diver and marine biologist based on Oahu in Hawaii. And my expertise is in diving, and specifically shark diving. I'm going to be watching some gameplay of Subnautica, so let's get into it. It looks like we're trying to escape or something. Maybe, oh, it's an explosion. That, or we're taking off. Maybe we're taking off. Could be good, could be really bad. That does not look good. Well, that's definitely not a good sign that everything is blowing up. And if we're stuck in the seat, that's not good. I'm like wondering, are we launching upwards to go down, or is this like a submarine situation that for some reason there's a fire underwater? I don't know. Emergency mode definitely seems accurate for this moment in time. Head trauma. You're alive in an alien world. Is this an underwater alien world? You know, there's more discovered about literally more information about space than underwater, so pretty accurate. That is just not a good situation to be in here. I guess I don't know if we're gonna end up having to go underwater. Submarine does not look like it's working very well. Is this an escape hatch maybe? We're going in like an underwater tunnel. It kind of looks like the caves that we have here, the underwater caves, like lava tubes with all the creatures kind of hanging on the sides of them. Oh, and these look like some maybe like little anemones. Some anemones here, some seagrass. I'm like, are we taking mushrooms or is it, are we looking at like actual anemones? Oh, and kelp forest, which is an interesting combination. I don't know if we teleported or if we're in an entirely different biome basically now, or different ecosystem, because the kelp, yeah, super different environment here. I mean, you can't even, it's either nighttime or we're just like in super deep water, because there's no light down here. Oh, I love night diving. It's always really cool because that's when the more alien-like show up. So that's always really, really cool. After about 500 feet in the ocean, you actually can no longer have light. It's very minimal light. So pretty crazy. It's not that far away that you lose the light. For that kind of depth, you would need tech training and specific type of equipment and gear. It's no longer like recreational at that point. It's very, very tech related. I've never been. The deepest I've been is 138 feet. So that's about as far as I probably will ever go. When you're at real depth like that, 138 feet or more, you feel like that really deep pressure on your body and everything is really, really compressed. To be honest, every time I've gone that deep though, I always get nitrogen narcosis. So I always get a little narked, which is basically kind of like being really drunk. So part of the memory isn't always the best down there. It's a natural thing that happens to your body when you go down to depth like that. I like our underwater touchscreen tablet that's totally not affected by underwater pressure. It's funny when people have like their iPhone cases to dive with and they try to touch the screen with the plastic on the iPhone. Doesn't really work as soon as there's any water pressure on it. So I don't know what kind of development we have for this, but it's definitely some high-tech stuff. Is this a mermaid or are we trying to like a sea dragon? Looks very, very alien-like for sure. Encountering sharks at a close proximity to me is one of my favorite things, which I know most people don't think that's the case for them, but for me, I love them. They're such amazing animals to interact with. It's really deep respect for these large predators, you know, so it's so amazing having that kind of mutual interaction between yourself and then this really large animal that's very capable, but really rarely chooses to use their capability and their strength. Oh, now we got an underwater scooter. That is sick. I've used quite a few underwater scooters. Oh, wow. This is the deep sea creatures that nobody knows about yet, right? That we haven't discovered. Oh, and I like that you can hear the sounds of all of that too. Very eerie. It's funny, it looks like a lot of the design for this is based off of more prehistoric animals. It's not, I mean, maybe they exist, we just have no idea what exists in the ocean, but it looks a lot like more of the prehistoric kind of sharks and species like that. Well, I specifically go out seeking sharks, so that's kind of why I see them the most, but sharks are definitely one of the things I see most often because I go to an area where I know that I will see them. But other than that, things that I'll see a lot are maybe green sea turtles. They're actually probably one of the top larger animals that I'll see. And then we have lots of reef fish here in Hawaii. So lots of different biodiversity here in Hawaii. So a lot of different fish species as well. Oh, wow. Are these like glowing? Is it glowing jellyfish? They look kind of like the traditional moon jellyfish a little bit with the shape of their dome. I know, I'm like, maybe it's like an actual plant or something. It's kind of like, looks like the top of a coral head that's maybe like lodged and kind of dismounted from the seafloor. So you can see all the algae looking kind of stuff on the bottom and then the actual kind of coral growth on the top. This is an underwater spaceship made out of a coral outplant. That's crazy. Or is this an animal? I can't tell. I'm like, it could have been an animal. Underwater submarines definitely kind of scare me a little because of the fact that you are reliant on so much gear, and that kind of trips me out a little bit, being so vulnerable to the failure of the submarine. And I mean, yeah, if you run into something like this, that would just definitely not be ideal for like the glass on the outside of your submarine. I can't say I wouldn't try it. I would definitely give it a shot. I actually love kelp forests because there's a lot of wildlife that'll kind of hide in them. And I know that sounds like absolutely terrifying. People are like, I don't want to see the creatures hiding in the kelp forest. But it's really beautiful, especially with the light. Like if you get that sunrise or sunset light with all the light coming through it, it's just so beautiful. It looks kind of ethereal. It's definitely not a good idea to dive on your own because if anything happens, if there's any mistakes or any equipment failures, you don't have someone there to have your back. So being alone, especially battling things in situations like this, definitely not the ideal scenario. Whenever I go diving, I always have a buddy, and especially when I'm working with sharks, I always have people in the water that I trust because it's so important to have someone to have your back. These little glowing orbs. Whatever suit that this person has is really got some technical elements to it that allow him to do this kind of stuff. The navigating underwater can be really interesting. Of course, you have a compass. That's one of the best things that you can use for navigating underwater. But another thing that's really important is kind of knowing your area. So when you can see certain types of grooves in the coral or in the sand, and you kind of create your own map in your head of where you are based off of where things, what the rocks look like and where different coral heads and things like that are. So you kind of use that as like a reference for your navigation too. But for your first time navigating ever, definitely need a compass to get that heading and get that direction if you've never seen the area before. It's very easy to get lost underwater. Definitely been there. Is it alive? Dead? Yeah, like it's actually cool. I don't know if you ever heard of a whale fall? So when a whale dies at the surface and it actually sinks to the bottom, and basically the bones are left and some meat, and all of these other little organisms and smaller sharks and deep water species will come in and pick off all of the leftover living stuff off of them. So it kind of reminds me of that a little bit. Does not look like the face of a whale based on like the teeth and everything, but still really cool. I'm like, I want to see all these animals. Where do I get to see these species underwater? I would like to interact with this. I've always had this like attraction to really large animals, especially predators. So very interested in learning more about these animals specifically. Whenever I tell people about this kind of stuff, they're like, I don't think that makes sense for your survival instincts. I don't know why you would want that. This is also funny with the stabbing underwater, like how much slower your hand would be moving if you were actually trying to slice or cut something through water. Very difficult. Oh, that's pretty. It looks kind of like a manta ray in the background. This is another corpse of something apparently. But yeah, that looks a lot like a kind of like a manta. Yeah, we'll see manta rays, not as commonly as some of the other islands where you'll see the mantas, but we will see like eagle rays. They're more common for us than manta rays, but they're all very, very pretty. I love mantas. Mantas are one of my favorite ocean creatures too, besides sharks. The largest shark that I've ever seen up close, whale shark. A whale shark would be the largest, but I know that doesn't sound very scary because they eat plankton, so they're not gonna, have any interest in seeing me as prey by any means. But the largest, more classic shark that people think of that I've seen, it's probably a 16-foot tiger shark, probably the biggest. So now we have underwater lava again. That's gotta be what that is, right? And this little guy is just trying to say hi. So cute. I don't know the dispersal of heat when it's underwater, but I also don't know how it would not solidify as soon as it was touching the water, so I'm not really sure. But if there was heat, you would definitely feel it. Like I've been near lava on land, and you can feel the heat even when you're, thousands and thousands of feet away, even like half a mile away. Crazy. I have spent quite a few hours in some murky water, and it's probably my least favorite thing is when I can't see what's around me, because I think about all of the possibilities and how vulnerable I am when I can't see. So not being able to see when it's really murky and cloudy, not one of my favorite things. I've done some research dives where we had to pick up underwater receivers, and we had them based on different places, and especially one near this power plant. There was a lot of silt where literally you go down and it's just already dark because it's so thick. And you're just like reaching your hand around to kind of feel and try to find where the underwater receiver is. So don't like that at all. Well, after watching the Subnautica gameplay, it definitely seems like a really cool way to see a lot of different things. I would love to experience a dive like that in real life, where you're able to go to so many different ecosystems in such a short span of time. I don't know how realistic it is, but it's definitely something that I would love to participate in if possible. So that was Subnautica. You guys, my name is Andy, and you can find me at Andriana Marine on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, all the places. And don't forget to follow Experts React on YouTube and Facebook as well. Bye guys!